What's up everybody, it's Kenneth with DFW Ink. Today we're going to take a look at reclaiming screens. Alright, now that we've got our screens dry, it's time to coat them with your emulsion. I use Kiwo VP emulsion. It's really cost efficient. It works on screens anywhere from 83 to 380. My shop is 95% plastisol, so I just find that Kiwo works really well. It exposes really fast in our eye image. So I used to try a lot of different emulsions, but I feel like once you find one that works day in and day out, just stick with it so you can zero in your coating technique, your times, and all that good stuff. So we're going to be using the M&R Unicoat here. It took me a long time to hop on board with the automatic coater, but now that I've had it, I would never go back to coating screens by hand, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But first, let's fill up our troughs. Coating method I'm using is 2 and 2, and I do that on all my screens no matter what the mesh count is. We're gonna pop this in here and just push this button. You see it's got 2 troughs and one of them sits a little bit higher than the other. And what that does is it creates its own tension on the mesh, and you can actually adjust that tension. It's all pneumatic. All right, so whether your screen is super tight or a little loose, it doesn't matter because it's gonna create its own tension as it goes up, and every screen you have is gonna have the exact same amount of emulsion on it, which is super important when we get to the exposure part of it. That way your times aren't fluctuating at all. You can zero in your times in your exposure unit perfectly. And like I said, I'm doing the 2 and 2 method. Typically, I run this machine and the eye image at the same time. I wouldn't just sit here and let it coat. I'll stick a screen in here, put a screen in my eye image, and then around and around we go. So after this screen is done, I take this one out, put this one in, coat it. And then you always want to dry your screen with the print side facing down. That way more of your emulsion ends up on the print side, and that's what gives you a good stencil, which is ideal for your printing. All right, now that we've got our screens cleaned, coated, and dried, it's time to put some artwork on there. And behind me is my favorite machine in the shop. It's the M&R eye image. We went direct to screen about 3.5 years ago, and I would never go back to using film. If you are using film, I highly recommend you look into direct to screen and the M&R eye image. It changed everything we do in the shop. I mean, it is amazing. The way the screen goes in here, I'll show you in a minute bit. It works with the M&R Tri-Lock outside on our presses. So the first thing we're gonna do, I like to queue up all my artwork for the whole day or anything that's approved. I like to get it all in here to where I can see, hey, this is exactly what I need. I know what screens I need. I know what jobs are coming out, just so I can see everything at once without doing them one at a time here and there. So the first thing I do, simple design. And again, we're using Kiwo VP emulsion here. The average screen probably takes about a minute to a minute and a half, just depending on the coverage or whatever. And the exposure time in the bag with my emulsion, the Kiwo VP emulsion I'm using, we range from 7 to 9 seconds, depending on the mesh, obviously. LED exposure in the back. Now that we've got the image on our screen, we're going to rinse it out. I'd like to do one screen at a time, and I'll show you why. Like I said, we use an eye image, so you're still going to see the ink on there. It rinses right off. I knock the ink off the back side, get the inside wet, and then I come back to the print side. And you don't want to get too close. If you hear this, you're too close. All right, that's it. That was the process from reclaiming the screen, drying it, coating it, putting artwork on there, rinsing it out. Super simple. Everything you saw us do, that's how it goes every day, all day long. And the reason it's so easy for us to do is because we're using the right products. The Easy Way system they have with my dip tank, hands down the best thing out there. I highly recommend that. The emulsion, that would be up to each shop and kind of the specifics of what kind of art and stuff like that they're doing. But what I find, use the right chemicals, use the same process over and over and over, never alter your process. Once you get into that same groove, you'll find that it just runs and it's just so easy by doing the same thing over and over, because that's what screen printing is. Appreciate you guys tuning in.